Hello everybody, how's everybody doing? Today we're gonna use our Metahuman character inside of Maya in order to animate, of course, our character. That's what we're all here for. But we're also gonna bring the Mocopi animation that we supposedly recorded, from our phone using the Sony sensors. And we're gonna combine those things and then we're gonna bring it back to Unreal Engine. It will make more sense as we go through every single step. So what I would like to start with today is probably downloading the Python, because Maya wouldn't work without all the plugins and scripts that we're gonna use today. So let's start with this today. We're gonna type Python 3.12.3. Just click the first link. We click, I believe, downloads, and then we just click here. I have AMD 64. I know Intel is a little more popular, so for you it would say Intel 64, I believe. So we open the file. It is necessary that we click this too, because without this one, we wouldn't be able to use the next thing that we're gonna download, which is called, I believe, Python Mel, something like that, which would be very necessary for running our scripts and plugins. We just click install now. You can just close here. I accidentally clicked it twice, but that's okay. We already downloaded one of the Pythons. That should be enough. And now we're gonna go and type. We can close it, but we can type pyml. Click the very first link. Go to download files and download this one right here. And so what this will do is it will allow us to open all the necessary scripts. We don't have to open it, but what we'll have to do is to bring it to our Maya folder. And so by default it should be Autodesk and then Maya 2023. Here's the bin, and then we just go and bring it from downloads to right here, and we're gonna say yeah, replace it because I already had it. Click continue because we're the administrator. So now we need to open the command prompt, and we'll have to type cd, which I believe is open, and then we need to right click on the folder where we dropped our file, copy address, and we can just space, right click, enter, and this is pretty much tells us that we are inside of that folder right now. So next thing that we're gonna do is we need to copy the name of our file, which would be rename, and then make sure it's the whole thing. Control C, and this is where we will have to type pip space install, and this is exactly what wouldn't work without our Python library that we downloaded just a second ago. And then spacebar, right click, we copied it, and we click enter, and this is how it's supposed to look like for you. And yeah, so successfully, and we can just go and type exit. So we're done here. Next thing that I would do is go, we can close it here, go and type bridge Quixel, or vice versa, Quixel bridge, click here, and you would go and click download bridge. I already have it downloaded. As soon as you download wherever you want it to be, you just click bridge, and now we have to choose the library path. If you already have Quixel Bridge standalone, it's very important that you download the standalone version, because this is what sometimes confuse people. They tend to use the one inside of the Unreal Engine, and they don't know the difference between the standalone version, which is downloadable from this website. So you gotta do that. This is necessary for our tutorial. Well, this brings us to documents. So I should be fine with it. Let's select documents, click next. And now we wanna download the Maya file, which is the plugin, and you'll have to install it afterwards. Right now we just need to download it, make sure it's the latest version, because if you downloaded it before, you gotta make sure that it's updated. You don't have an option to choose the older version, but if you already have it downloaded, make sure that you updated it. And we just click install plugin, and that would make it work. So next step is a little setup. We should go to edit, settings, and we need to change our API port to, I believe, 13291. That's how it's supposed to be. It's a little bit random. I'm not gonna go deep into that. And now we go to download settings, models, and make sure that we have UI asset plus source asset. This should work. This should apply it automatically. And now we go to export settings, same thing, models, and everything else stays as it is by default. We shouldn't worry about textures or anything because we're just bringing the model to Maya, but we're not gonna physically bring it back to Unreal Engine. It would make sense as we go further. Oh, and also make sure that you sign in. I'm gonna sign in with my account right now. We can just close this, don't pay attention to this. And so this is important that you log in into the account where you have your Metahuman. If you have the custom Metahuman, if you wanna use the one that is already created, you can use whatever account, and you can find tutorials on how to create the custom Metahuman, and as well as the custom Metahuman with the custom mesh face. But we're not gonna go over that in this tutorial. We're gonna double click on this icon and just find, you can go to my Metahumans once again. This is what I have. I'm gonna use the custom Metahuman, but this is Metahuman that did not use the custom mesh face though. So, and I already used this one, so let's go with this one, and let's choose 1K resolution because 8K would significantly take longer to download. And once we chose that, you don't have to worry about this anymore because we already set it up. And let's begin the download. You don't have to even read this thing because at this point it doesn't matter. It basically tells you to use the bridge inside of Unreal Engine to download the UI asset, but the weird thing is it still downloads it. And if it doesn't start the download, I would suggest that you reinstall the bridge. That's what helped me in my case. Also, don't panic if it's stuck on 13%. It meant to kind of get stuck there for a little bit because it's just generating the Metahuman, it's not downloading it yet. It's just, something that is going on behind the interface that we don't know, and for some reason it doesn't update the progress. But it should update it in like 5 minutes or less, depending on how fast your internet and the computer is. Once you have everything downloaded, this should look like this. That's what I was trying to say, or I was trying to remember what it's gonna look like. I'm gonna say download it here, the check mark right here, and also there should be a progress bar after we download it, but it's whatever. And so right now, what I would do is I would open our Maya. Now that we have our plugin set up in advance, we're gonna have this pop up, and if it pops up, that means everything works. I'm also gonna show you the clip of how it's gonna tell you that there is a not trusted source, or the not very trusted source that is trying to open the external plugin for Maya. But once again, if that thing pops up, that means everything works as we want it to work. So we just click menu right here, and as soon as you would open it, it would start with this. And once again, this is another confirmation that everything works as it's supposed to. So for now, we finally gonna export it in. I know, right? It took a while. And so it says export to Maya, export successfully. And we're gonna get this confirm dialog. Are you sure we want to import a human character? Once the progress will be lost, that's why we create the empty scene. We don't care about the progress at this point. And this one will depend on how fast your computer is. So if it's not very fast, believe me, it's gonna take a long time. Once again, be patient. Patience is probably the number one thing in all this process. But I promise you, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. And one more thing, sorry I forgot, before we would download and export our Metahuman character, you actually need to go %up data, gotta type it in the search, open it, go to update right here, choose local, choose programs, Python 3.12, which is the newest library we downloaded, library, and then we need to find side packages. And now I hold Control, left click on both of these folders, copy. You can use Control C for copy, that should work. And then we go to Documents, we find our Maya 723, that's the version I'm using, that's the version I recommend to use once again, 2003.3. Well, never mind, that's the wrong folder. Actually, it's not. I apologize. So we should have the side packages folder, and we just paste it here. You can use Control V. This is gonna ask me if I want to replace it. I'm gonna say skip it. It's whatever. And also during our export there would be warning and errors about the shaders. We wouldn't care about the shaders. And once you pasted all those things, you can open Maya and click export. You can try and do it parallel to what we were doing right now, but I wouldn't recommend. It's not gonna be very consistent. And so if you flare warnings, this is not gonna have textures. It's gonna have flip-flops and no clothes, no hair, absolutely no facial hair either. And that's totally okay because flip-flops have the exact same height as the other type of shoes from Metahuman website, editor, whatever you want to call it. The older versions would let you display the textures, but for now it's not the case. Sorry, not the tutorial, not the time, not the perfect time for that. And if it says the frame rate mismatches, once again, you can forget about it. For now, we're moving to advanced skeleton. You can just look it up and it should open you this main page. You're choosing this one and you go to download and you download the archive, and you can download it to anywhere on your desktop. It's totally whatever. But you gotta remember the location because I downloaded the script, because right now what you're gonna do is, let's say I wanna open the animation tab and that's where I wanna have my tools for rigging. So I would go and drag and drop it into the viewport, and this is gonna bring me this right here, where the tab where I want it to be. Unfortunately can't change it as far as I know, but we're gonna use it only once, so doesn't matter. It's gonna open you this tab. You're gonna go to tools, name matcher. This should have Metahuman by default, and then you open up functions and you're gonna click create place fit skeleton, and pay attention if this circle is the right size and if it's aligned parallel to the ground, because I was just recording and something unexpected happened that never happened to me before. This ring was small and it was rotated just like if Y axis was the up axis. And if you want to, you want to make sure that the Z axis is the up axis by default. You go to Windows, Settings, Preferences, and then you click Settings, and this is where you make sure that your axis is Z, because Unreal Engine is using the Z axis. I think most of the software does. Now that you have this created, a world controller, that's what it's called, you can go to build advanced skeleton. This is gonna flip your character, but not for long, because it's creating these things first and then it brings it back. It's gonna give you this warnings, errors, whatever. We don't care about them because everything works perfectly fine. If you wanna rotate around the mesh, you select the mesh, and you would normally click F and then Alt left click to rotate around the mesh, but it doesn't work at first, so you need to go to view and look at selection, and here we go. Beautiful. Right now we have our rig set up. Now we need to do the skinning, and that would be made by clicking this constraint to joins. This is fairly quick process, so we don't have to wait for it that long. And as you can see, this is working just fine. you can go and play around to check if everything works, and if not, then I would recommend just getting rid of this thing and start over with the export process, because this is what I had to do to fix my issue while I was recording this again. Now the next step we're gonna go through is actually importing the Mocopi character, or the Mocopi recording, whatever you wanna call it. I'll try and show you on the screen how it's gonna look like for you on the phone to download or kind of check out the result of whatever you recorded. Because that's what essentially we want to have. And so now, in order to download the one that we want, it will actually would be called, I would just recommend you go to this website, or simply look up how to use mocap files in Maya, and you should be able to find this link right here. When you click download here, it's not actually downloading anything, so I recommend going to GitHub link, which is right here. Every single website source of plugins and scripts that we're using in this video will be down in the description. So for now, we're just gonna open this. We don't care about the rest of it. And then we click this dot right here, and then download. We're gonna keep it. I'm sure it doesn't have anything because on my other profile, or my other Windows user, it worked just fine with my antivirus on. So we have it here, and I would recommend bringing it in the same folder with scripts. So we're just gonna simply go like this. And now we need to run this code, and this is why we open this website right here. We go back and we copy this lines. Now we click on this tab right here. We select Python, type in this, and then we click execute. Now the important thing, we need to switch this to Y, X, and Z. For some reason in Mocap it's reversed whenever we record it. This stays empty because we want to import just the animated skeleton of the Mocap character without actually translating anything to anything, which is, I think, was originally this plugin meant for, but it's gonna work for us just fine, just trust. And then we go and we find our BVH file. This is gonna convert it into FBX, I believe, and put inside of our scene. Just like that. It's gonna take a little bit of time, once again, depending on how heavy your file is. Mine is relatively big, so that's why it's taking that long. And then you should be able to go to 0 right here. We need to make sure that we can see all the joins. We go to show and joins, and this is gonna be on the ground, we want to bring it to 90 degrees so that it's standing. Now you can kind of scroll through and see if your character does what you want it to do. The problem with that is it's slowed down, and we're gonna fix that later. For now, we just wanna bring it to 0, and we also wanna scale it down so that we can kind of connect every single joint of our metahuman character to this character right here. And as soon as we connect it fully, we can bake the animation to our character. So I would go and bring it down until shoulders are kind of inside the shoulders. I think this is perfect actually. Close enough. We don't actually care much about the size and stuff at this point. It's just, it would make it more precise or more accurate animation wise. At the end of the day, you'll still have to kind of polish your animation, because as an animator you're probably gonna be able to tell that this is pretty crappy animation. The recording ain't enough. So now that we have this thing right here, what I would do is download another script actually. I know that's a lot of scripts and plugins. This time we're gonna go to the website. I think this is the programmer and artist that created this plugin. Just gonna type this right here, .com /i/KTZ. Oops, I think this is actually small l. You can watch the tutorial, but I'm just gonna show you how to download it first. You just put 0 in here, you click I want this, you type your email, click get, and then you gotta click download to download the whole thing. Gonna open this folder right here, and essentially I just wouldn't even extract the whole thing. I would just pay attention to this, keep it here, open our script folder, and bring it here once again. And then we need to go here in order to use these 2 lines for the Python compiler. Control C, come back in here, opening this thing again, Control V, execute, and this is gonna open this window right here. A few things to pay attention to is that you click create connection. I heard create IK connection is more precise, but there is not. Our rig doesn't have enough IKs, so I wouldn't actually use this consistently. Plus, it might make sense to others, but it doesn't make sense to me to have all of these things checked, and we still need to click this, because what I'm gonna do right now, just to kind of give you a base case, we actually gonna choose this leg right here. I believe this is ankle, and then we're gonna choose the IK of our right ankle, or probably I should call it the whole foot. You don't have to align it to position, but I'm gonna do it either way because it's still gonna look fine in case of my animation. It really depends on what your animation is like. Do you want your legs to be wider or more narrow? And I'm gonna click create connection, and this brings it together. As you can see, it aligns my ankle or my foot to that position of my Mocopi. And so now we do the same thing with the other one. Make sure that you select this one first and this one second with shift left click, and we keep the same things. And as you can see, it'll tell you if it was retargeted or not. Here's our second. Now our feet are together. This is actually an ideal A pose. Your feet are together, that's how it's supposed to be, I believe. And then we keep all these options, and now I would actually hide our mesh. So we just go like this. And we choose the root of our mocap character right here, and then we select one of those arrows, which is, I believe, center of gravity. Same thing, shift select and create connection. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. It brought our character a little bit down, but I don't mind it. It was actually worse when the knees were extended, because they're not supposed to be that extended. That way our character is looking relaxed, which is more natural for any type of pose, almost. And now I'm just gonna quickly go through every single joint that you need to connect. And for that, we need to turn off the translation and align to position, because the rest of the joints, we don't want them to be aligned precisely to every single joint that our character has, our mocap character, to be precise. The weird part is that this circle right here looks like it's above this one, but this one is actually supposedly lower. And since it's lower or higher in the hierarchy, that's the one that we gotta choose first. So I will go torso 1 and then choose this shift, left click, and then create connection. You're probably not gonna see any differences for now, but if you actually go through timeline, it's getting there. It's getting there. If I just turn on polygons, you can see that our character is walking the way it's supposed to. But we still need to work on arms, neck, and so on. So I'm just gonna speed up, or kind of silently show which joint connects to which one. And here we go. Okay, now important thing, we need to turn on our polygons to kind of visually see where we're at. We're gonna choose this one right here. This is our left shoulder. And so we wanna kind of rotate as close as possible to this thing right here. Just like that. I would say this is kind of gotta find the middle ground. This is good enough, not too high. And then we go and extend our elbow. Not too much, but kind of make it look straight enough. Here we go. I would actually copy these values right here and translate into this ones right here. Oops. I missed. You gotta pay attention that you select these circles because that's the only way to properly animate your character. Using the controls, not the skeleton. Golden rule, golden rule. Gonna save your life sometime, I bet. Someday, maybe. And then we choose the shoulder. Rotate Y. And then we copy it to the same thing. And now, essentially the same thing. Just pay attention. Be right back. And now, what we have left is actually just the neck and the head. And so at this point, what I would actually do is go to the neck, choose the head of our Mocopi character, and then choose this one right here. Here we go. Create connection. This should do it just fine. And then play it. And you'll kind of see that everything works the way it's supposed to. Let me actually extend it so that we can see the full thing. It's essentially slowed down for some reason, which is actually fine, and it's fixable through such things as, I'll show you in a second. I'll go to Windows, General Animation Editors, Graph Editor, and then we need to choose through Select Hierarchy. We're gonna select everything that we have here. And then we need to use this tool. I actually like it, but it's very slow. It's called the Retime tool. And when you actually choose it, you need to click double click here, which is the beginning of our animation, and then at the very end. And then you'll have to move the whole thing more to the left so that it's smaller, so that's the whole animation is faster. Um, but we're not gonna do it right now. I'll probably show some tutorial later where you can retime the whole thing, because my animation is not supposed to be that slow as you see right now. But pretty much, but you can as well adjust movements of your character once you go and click bake animation. It tells you to kind of just deletes all these nodes connections with the current Mocap skeleton. So we click yes. Okay, now we're actually free to. I'm gonna just really quickly show that it actually changes something so that it's not coming back to where it was because of our Mocopi character. We're gonna bring our food up here. Let's select this and we click S. It's gonna key the thing, and as you can see, it actually goes up where I keyed it. Pay attention that some things are not gonna change just in one frame, because if I go in here and go like this, let's say I click S, then it's gonna affect the whole animation. So just fair warning. Well, let's start actually with opening our Unreal. I'm gonna use the 5.3 version. And I actually gotta log in first. So now that we have our Unreal Engine open finally, we're probably gonna be creating film and video, I would assume. So I will go just with blank start content, why not? Just gotta make it through this. And so we gotta make sure that we have our Quixel bridge. We're gonna go here, click Quixel bridge. It's gonna ask you to log in again. Alright, and once you logged in, you're gonna click here. You don't have to click actually, and then you go to My Metahumans. And it says Hannah. I would use the highest quality since it's already inside Unreal Engine. And I'm gonna click. We don't have to do anything out here. We're just gonna click download. And this is once again gonna take a while. And now that we have it downloaded, it says right here, and the check mark. Just gonna click add. It's not gonna take too long. I believe we already added something. Yeah, if you go to our all content, we're gonna notice Metahumans, and we're gonna choose the name of our Metahuman character folder. And this is the blueprint, which is gonna take it, hold it, and drop it into the viewport. And now it asks us to restart, which I would recommend to do, and we can save. And now as we can see, everything looks perfectly fine with our character, now that we enabled everything. Some of those things actually need to be enabled in order to keep it look right. So I guess just dismiss what I said about not enabling everything. And now we're gonna go back to Maya. I know it's hard to recognize our character because it's very different from what we see in a real engine, but don't worry, it's gonna look just fine. So now that we have our animation, well, let's say you adjusted your animation, you also animated face, we need to export it, right? And so what you have to do is actually find this. You can click H to kind of unhide the thing. You choose it, you click on it, go select, and then select hierarchy. And I would also do object joints only, so that it selects only joints, since we don't need the rest of it. It also has some parent constraints, point constraints, and so on. We don't need that. You can actually close all this windows finally. And then we go File, Export Selection. We want to choose FBX export. We can keep the rest of it. You could edit preset as well, but I'm gonna go and do it through here. So where it says animation, obviously we're gonna check it, because essentially we're exporting not the character but the animation for the character in the FBX format file. And then we need to bake our animation, and you can choose here whatever you want to. I'm just gonna go with 200 because I don't want it to be way too big, because it's gonna take a while. Everything takes a while, honestly. And you also need to choose this, which is actually resetting our thing. So you gotta choose the current preset, that's media and entertainment, and then you need to check the bake animation. I'm just gonna go with 200. And the rest of it should be okay. I'm just gonna say on desktop, you can say wherever you want to. And I'm gonna go animation body, because for now we exporting just the body animation. It's exporting every single thing. Since we checked the animation, it's gonna look at every single joint and go until 200 frames to bake our animation. We don't care about the warnings, because it just looks at PSD, which is this thing that helps. Actually, it's that one right there. That is kind of for information. It's not gonna do anything for us, so we don't care about it. Now we're gonna go show all, and we're gonna export the face animation. We didn't do anything to it, but just for the sake of practice, I'm gonna show you how to do it. We're gonna go to facial controls, select set members. It's gonna choose a bunch of bones from this one right here, which is actually supposed to happen. And we're gonna go through the same thing, except export selection. We are not baking our animation, but we're keeping the animation. It's a little bit different, since we're not choosing actual bones of the face. And we're gonna call it animation face, or facial animations, whatever you want to call it. We're gonna export it. It's gonna give you even more errors, but we don't care about them. It talks about materials, constraints, and once again the PSD, which is just for the sake of a design, so that user understands what's going on, how to animate the face. Now that we exported it, we need to go here. Actually, we need to go here. import. You can choose the whatever location you want to. I'm gonna choose this one. It's gonna import in this Metahuman folder. Just gonna import this, and we need to choose actually our Metahuman base skeleton for both of them, I believe. I'm just gonna click import. And as you can see, it's actually there. You can see the body. Sometimes you're not able to see the whole thing, which is totally okay, as soon as it looks fine in your viewport. Right now, we're just gonna create the level sequence, which is gonna happen through here. Level sequence, we're gonna call it henna test. Double click, drag and drop our character timeline. We're gonna get rid of our Metahuman control rig because we kind of got our own, which is pretty much the exact same copy, except for it's better. It's for Maya. Gonna go with 24 FPS. Gonna click a plus sign here, and I'm gonna choose our animation right here. It starts with a T-pose, but then, as you can see, it actually works. If we play it, you saw, the foot actually went up, just like we animated it. So that means it totally works. I didn't export the whole thing, so it kind of looks slow and short, which is fine, but that means everything works. And it's a pretty unique case with the face, because here we need to right click and then import control rig FBX, and we're gonna choose our animation. And you can adjust that, but essentially this is how it works. We don't have any facial animation, but it would work. Well, thank you guys for watching. I would appreciate your comments and likes. We'll see you next time.